left.
The liberation of mutant kind has begun.
Welcome to the future.
Who's this clown?
Not clown, Joker.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Nobody tampers with the equipment except Tony Stark.
Good idea.
United, the Avengers are strong.
Hawkeye, hands off.
Fool! Have you forgotten my invincible magnetic power?
Not this time, Magneto.
My mutant brain senses danger.
Something unseen is slowly spreading its poisons, edging tempers.
Think carefully before you do this.
You filthy criminals.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You unlock this door with the...
What is up, comic fam?
Sorry, Jim had to poop.
I had to go poo-poo. Anyway, how's it going? It is episode 102 of Two Fat Guys. Or is it 102? No, 101. It's 101 of Two Fat Guys Pull List. 102. 202 is next week. But anyway, yeah. How are y'all doing? Hope y'all had a great week. Hope you had a good read of comics, good pull. And I think we did. It was pretty enjoyable. At least I had a good time. But before we get on to the show, we're going to talk about some business. More specifically, our show sponsor, which is Collected Comics and Games here in the DFW area. That's right. That's where me and Nate both get our comic books, our pull lists, our back issues, our collected editions, our omnibus, our hardcovers, our action figures, our models, our posters, our cookbooks, our snacks, our trading cards, our D&D
supplies,
D&D supplies, our Warhammer 40K, our statues, blushies, and that's we get all that there. It's a great place. So if you're ever in the DFW area, they have two locations, one in Hearst and one in Fort Worth. Bron and Brent have done a great job of curating an amazing collection of things. So if you're ever in the area, go check out Collected Comics and Games. But if you're not in the area, you can always go check out staycollected.com. That's right, that's what their website is called, and you can get all that cool stuff that I just talked about there, and store exclusives, incentive covers, web exclusives, all kinds of cool stuff over there. So hit up staycollected.com if you're not in the DFW area and go check them out. Also, we're on the road to 1,250 subscribers, and as of the recording of this live show, now this number does fluctuate usually when I talk about this, but as of right now, we are at 1,149 subscribers. That's right, we are 101 subscribers away from hitting our milestone and being able to give away this Uncanny X-Men #1 9.8 CGC grade signed by Jim Chung, the cover artist. That's right. When we hit 1,250 subscribers, we'll be giving this away, but we can't do it without your support. So if you're not subscribed and you're watching right now, hit that sub button, smash that like button, do all that good stuff. If you're watching and you're subscribed, but you know somebody that's really into comics or someone that's really wanting to get into comics, throw them the show. Share the show with them and say, hey, subscribe, because you could enter to win slabs on the daily, right? Because we're giving away slabs from 1,250 subscriber milestone all the way to 2,000. And when we hit 2,000, we're giving away this Thor #1 Nick Klein sketch variant signed by the great Donny Cates 9.8 CGC grade. But there are other slabs that we're going to be giving away in between 2,000 and 1,250. So it's just a good idea to hit that sub button. Also, we're creating new content on the reg. You know, we've got Secret Origin at the moment. We're thinking about doing a members only stream for Marvel Rivals, or maybe we'll just open it up to everybody, or maybe we'll do the first hour for members and then the next hour we'll do for everybody. But we're really getting into Marvel Rivals. I bit the
finally
bullet,
listened to me,
and I've been playing with Nate for the past couple days, and it's been insane. It's been so much fun. Whenever I have free time, I jump on and play, get my daily missions in, get my challenges in. It is super fun, guys. So, but yeah, also we're creating other content. We have some big stuff in store for 2025. You know, maybe some game-changing, channel-changing stuff here in the future, but we're working on it. But know that there are things going on in behind the scenes where you're going to see more content here. And it might not be from me and Nate. It might be from just Nate, or it might be just me from Jim, or maybe it's from some other people that we know. But we're I'll just give you a hint. We are gathering a collective. We are building a coalition of content creators, and we're talking about doing something real big with some other really cool channels. So keep your ear close to the ground, and if you know what I'm talking about, zip it.
No, you
Don't talk about it, because you know what's coming. But it's going to be really cool, and I can't wait to really show you guys once we are, in that position to do it. Sorry guys, I need to readjust my camera really quick because it's like kind of goofy. I had to reset the camera. Yeah, I done broke it. So let's see. Let me shrink it and then adjust it. Hold on. Just a little bit of maintenance here. Let's see here. Let's go like that. That feels better. I want to go like right there. There you go. Okay, cool. So just kind of be on the lookout for that. I think it's going to be really fun. Let's get to chat, and then we'll get to the show. John says, "What up?" Chris says, "What up, boys?" Empire, I apologize for being a little late. Like I said, I was doing the poo-poo. Patty, how are you? John coming in with the super chat. Kyle Starks owned 2 of my top 3 spots this week. Where Monsters and Those Not Afraid and Lucky Devils. Magic was a pleasant surprise. I did read Magic. I think you read Magic too, Nate. It's not on the pool, but as for Magic, I didn't really have a problem with it. I thought it was fine. Reading it, it felt like I don't know much about Magic. But it felt like a classic take on the character, kind of rehashing classic themes with Magic, rehashing some stuff about Krakoa. But I'll say this about all these different individual X books that are coming out for individual characters, when they're currently on a ongoing somewhere else. And I'll even say it about Psylocke. I don't feel like they're necessary. They just, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like, I'm not saying like they're not necessarily should go away. I don't understand. Like for me personally, it just kind of feels like a grab. Like, hey, we need more X books out there. And like, to me, if you're gonna create an extra book where it doesn't quite necessarily make sense within the canon of what's currently going on, maybe there should be just like, because I know it's digital, but maybe there should be just a Marvel Rivals comic book, physical comic book, if you're gonna do, you know what I mean? Because Magic to me, it's messing with the continuity thing again. And I know that's a silly argument to play, but like,
Chris, man,
what?
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I know you want continuity to matter here, but it doesn't, and it's never going to.
But it should. Like, okay, the current.
It's not you're right. I'm not saying it shouldn't. It totally should. But you're smashing your head against a brick wall. This has been going on since the 70s.
I know.
It's never going to stop.
And it should stop. And the reason why it should stop is because or not stop. I don't know. I guess it's frustrating for me because like I pick it up thinking I'm going to get some kind of insight, and when in reality I'm not. It's just like, it's almost a standalone story that has very subtle hints to what this person is doing in the other comic.
But that's the point, is you have the incorrect expectations on this book.
I know.
At no point has Marvel ever said, hey, if you want to make sure you know everything about X and the overall story, make sure you read Magic. They're just like, hey, Magic fans, got a book for you. Here you go.
I know.
But like, it's the same thing as Avengers, and right now, Captain Marvel had an ongoing, Iron Man has an ongoing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. We got our team books, we got our individual books. Do I think it's too much? Absolutely, like totally.
And then also, I think it might also be just pressure on us, or not on us, but like it's self-imposed pressure, because I feel bad. Like I genuinely feel bad when we don't cover books, because like we're trying to establish ourselves as something where like we're trying to be as encompassing as possible, and really it's just not doable. Like the channels that do that, either that person works at a comic shop so they have all the time in the world to read, or maybe they don't. I don't know. That's really, I think, the only real standard to it. I mean, I see creators on TikTok, which RIP, it's probably going away, where, you know, it's like they show how thick their pull list is, and like there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm like, I guess for a casual collector who doesn't have a show, that probably makes sense, right? Like you can read whenever you want to.
Yeah.
But like for us, like we got to throw a pity party, but like we have to read within from Wednesday till Sunday to get it in. So like we just can't, like we're just not going to do it. So I feel bad. Like that's why I feel bad about DC. But then, you know, we came to terms with like we just don't enjoy DC as much as Marvel. So we need to be very selective in what we're reading at DC, because we don't want to come across as just shitting on DC all the time. You know, so, and because that's not fair. So that's what we've done. So I got to do the same thing, like, because I love the Psylocke book. I think it's great.
There's one. Go ahead.
No, the last thing I was gonna say is there might be an argument to be made about these characters having individual books because they're not being utilized as much. Like that could be a perspective I could take it on, because like Magic, quite literally, you only see her for a couple panels in the X-Men book because you have to talk about the entire team, right? So like there could be an argument made that her having her own individual book allows the character to truly breathe within the current state of the X-Men books. So the same can be said about Laura Kinney, Psylocke, Jean Grey, Magic. Who was the other one? There was another one that came out recently. I don't know. Just all of those. Storm. But the thing is, Storm is really good. Like it's really, like there are people that don't really care for Storm and they're like, damn, Storm's good. So I don't know. I really don't know what the answer is. And we haven't even got into the main part of the show. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say my last little input on that is I will give Marvel credit where it's due. Think of all the titles that you just named that have characters that have their own books. All women.
Right.
Good. We don't need another Cyclops book or a Professor X book or a Gambit book.
Yeah.
We've been having those nonstop for 30 years. Let's give these ladies some shine here.
And they're fucking killing it. Like they are killing it. I will say that. So, all right, back to chat. Then we'll get into the actual show. John says, I bought the Malice first appearance in Fantastic Four based on the Marvel Rivals.
That is smart.
That is very smart.
That is smart.
When did that happen? When was it?
Mid-late 80s.
Okay, interesting. I need to know more about it. Chris says, yes, agreed. I'm so confused by when this stuff is going on. John, I agree with Jim. I'm just happy that Magic's book didn't suck. I was worried that it would. It was nuts. Don't get me wrong. It was nuts. I just like when it ended, I was like, I don't think I'm getting issue 2. And I'm not equating that to not being a Magic fan. I am, but just kind of looking at my pool, like it just doesn't fit right now. So maybe I'll read it on Unlimited, but who knows? Christo says, this is your pool list, not everything list. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. Yep. And that's why we're talking about doing what we're talking about doing for the channel. So stay tuned. All right. First up, we're going to start it off with Dark Horse's Those Not Afraid, issue number 1 from Kyle Starks. And this is Nate's Between.
Yeah, it started out early. So nobody should be shocked by this, right? Kyle Starks, a little bit of horror, a little bit of darkness.
Yep.
Great. This for Kyle Starks was very subtle on the humor, and a little bit, and it was good, but I would say less than Pine and Merrimack. So
okay,
not a lot. This is serious.
Got it.
So the basic premise here is that there is a this woman is a podcaster for true crime. She covers serial killers.
Okay.
And she's a little too self-aware, and I think that's part of the shtick is that this comic is very self-aware of itself.
Gotcha.
So she covers a serial killer from like the 70s who ended up killing like 56 people. Was like the worst serial killer from that area ever, had the most kills. And she's like also covering that there are currently 2 serial killers in modern time, like right now, that are uncaught, like that are still out there murdering people. And she goes, I probably shouldn't say this, but those 2 are in around the 40s, for their kill count, and 56 is the record. I wonder if they're gonna hit it. It's like, wait, what? Wait a minute, what?
What?
And of course, one of the killers absolutely listens to her podcast.
Shit.
And it's like, oh shit, that's a good point.
Oh no.
I gotta start murdering harder now.
God.
And so we kind of get a glimpse into our two murderers here, our two serial killers. One is like a very prim and proper guy who's like, I can't remember what he has as a job. Like he's I don't know. I think he's, like a finance guy or something like that. And, he seems all unassuming until he tells his wife, oh, I got to go to the dark room real quick and develop some film. And he walks down there and there's just fucking scalps on the wall.
Oh, Gowan.
Oh, hey, Gowan. And yeah, just scalps on the wall. He goes in there and has like all kinds of bloody pictures of
Sounds like a good band name.
Yeah. And he's literally out on the prowl. Like he literally is outside of a supermarket with crutches, like pretending like he's hurt. And he starts talking to this woman, and it's like, oh shit, like he's about to kidnap this lady. And then he sees like a shadowy figure walk in, like snooping around a house, and then walk in. And he's like, what the fuck's going on over there? And so he literally abandons his mark and like goes to this house. And as soon as he walks in, the guy that was in there, he shoots the dude in the head. And then his wife comes out, and this is where the humor is a little bit. She's like super, super country. She's like, hey, Travis, you ain't Travis. And then she gets stabbed a bunch of times. It's like this weird sort of thing. And then the guy that got shot in the head didn't die. They like grazed his head or like hit part of his head. And so he gets up, tries to kill the killer, and then the guy shoots him again. And it's like this whole thing. And the whole time, this, prim and proper killer's watching this, and it's just like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
What the fuck?
and the other killer turns around and is like, who are you? And he's wearing a mask. You can see it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like this weird exchange where he's like, no, man, we should make this a friendly competition. Like, we should let's do this together, man. Like, let's team up. Like we'll do our own kills, but like, whatever. And through this interaction, you slowly start to understand that the masked killer is like not this prim and proper, confident, outgoing individual, and he barely speaks at all. Is very like short sentences.
Yeah.
But he eventually takes off his mask and is like, "Yeah, we should do this." And meanwhile, we get a little bit more with our main character girl, who's the podcaster. Her dad is apparently used to be a sheriff. We're not 100% sure if he was let go or if he quit, but he's like racked with guilt. He's a drunk because he never found the serial killer from the 70s, and he couldn't find these guys. So that's kind of why she gets her obsession too. Turns out she is friends with the wife of the prim and proper serial killer, and they go to a restaurant to go eat, and it's like out of town. Even his wife's like, why did we go all here? And the final page is the waiter coming up saying, what can I get for you? And it's the other killer.
Oh shit!
That is at his 9 to 5, and I guess our prim and proper killer is like, hey, I know who the fuck you are. I don't know, man. Like it was like intense for a little bit. Like it had a little bit of body horror in there. Art was really good. I wouldn't typically choose this art for a horror book, but it works. It works here. It is not crazy. Like the cover at all. Okay. I'm sure the cover artist is a great artist for other people. I think this cover is quite against my style. But that's not what the interior looks like at all.
I was about to ask.
Yeah, not in the slightest. If anyone has read like Blue Book, Tinian's book, the one about aliens and stuff, it's very similar to that.
Kind of flat.
It's very flat, chunky. Uses I don't know. I like it. It's good.
No, flat's not a bad. I'm just saying, like, yeah, it just feels like the dimension is not as, pronounced as some other books.
For sure. I think
like a PP.
There's like a theme here. Like clearly Kyle Starks has got like true crime and horror and body horror and
right.
In a lot of it's in all of his books I read. So anyway, this was great. This was fantastic. I'm picking up all the rest of the issues, regardless of if 2 was bad or whatever. This was good enough. I'm just gonna pick up the whole thing.
Just for clarification, when I said PP, I mean Pepe Larraz.
Yeah,
for anybody that doesn't understand what I'm saying, I'm
okay.
talking about Pepe, the artist Pepe Larraz. I just call him PP.
Larraz, not
PP. Anyway, well, cool. All right, sweet. All right, next up we have Where Monsters Lie, cul-de-sac
Yay.
from Kyle Starks.
Yes. More murdering and body horror. Who would have guessed? This is an interesting issue because we kind of see a side of our main character, the detective who was hunting the killers, and then it turns out his wife is the daughter of one of the main killers. So now he's like in the second living community with them, and like trying to see if he fits in because they're saying, "Oh, you're now." And last issue we found out now his entire mission is to be there and kill as many of them as he can, and then try to get his wife out of there. Well, in this issue, the old lady finds out. She figures it out, and the way she figures it out is in issue 2. There's like a guy that like gets into your dreams and can kill you in your dreams. And they're like, he's like, I can literally see everything that's in your brain. You can't hide anything from it. So like when they get back from that mission, and 2 of the killers are dead, they claim that the boyfriend killed him, like this the random guy, the boyfriend of the people they were there to kill. And they're like, yeah, we don't believe that. The dreamer's gonna check your brain. And they're like, yeah, like there's no way. Like there's no way anyone is going to get past the dreamer. He'll tell us the truth. Well, apparently this cop guy like knew. I've been prepping for you, and I sought this guru master, and he taught me lucid dreaming, and so now I can control dreams. And he fucking strangles him in his dream, and then he dies.
Okay.
And so he walks out, and the lady's like, okay, so you're doing this on purpose. Now we're going to put you in a tree man. So they put him in this prison. It's called like a willow man. It's like a tree man thing. And it's like no one can let you out unless they're completely innocent. And so he's just like, oh shit, I'm going to die. They're going to burn me alive. And then the boy from the first book who's befriended the guy, I can't remember his name. It's ridiculous. It's like, better just go. It's very silly. I can't find it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Buckmaster. That's it. His name's Buckmaster. Him and his like demon dog, are like banding together because he thinks, oh, this kid's innocent. I don't know. He like turns good all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Well, the kid walks up and is like, yo, cop dude, like, why are you here? The cop's like, why are you here? And he's like, don't worry. The guy's like, dude, open the door. You're innocent. You can let me out. And he's like, I'm not innocent. I'm a badass. I killed someone. And the guy's like, yeah, you did it out of self-defense. So he opens the door, and like now it's like this chase, this hunt.
Gotcha.
Very, like not raunchy, but like very like graphic, very over the top. But it's funny, and it's if you like slashers and body horror, like I've said, this movie.
Nice. Sorry. I water, so I can't like splash it in my face right now. I'm like, for some reason, just stupid, silly, tired. All right, next up, we are jumping over to Image. We have Napalm Lullaby, issue number 8. There's a part of me that wants to make this my pick of the week.
Okay.
Because I thought it was really good. Remender continues to flip the narrative in very subtle but sometimes very obvious and very blunt ways. And I feel like we got that here in this issue, because the previous issue we had and I forget his name, but the male twin essentially realized that he's in an alternate reality created by Sarah. I know that's her name, the female twin. And so when I opened the book, I was kind of just expecting us to be at that same position, and then we're not.
Nope.
Right? Like, we are literally being thrown in another completely new scenario with him still technically being
Samuel
in this fake world. And initially I was like, well, this is kind of a bummer. And then we start reading it, and then you see him at the bar, having the same conversation with what appears to be his father, but he's kind of dressed up in like this 1940s gab. And then suddenly this dude that's on the cover kind of shows up and starts reality warping, and I found you, and it just gets really crazy really fast, right? Then we get put into this scenario, this new reality, or maybe it's the actual reality, we don't know, but essentially we're doing Inception. We're in a dream within a dream within a dream, right?
Literally.
So within this dream, the people who are saving him are the god the supposed god who is his father. But then we have the Supergirl chick who has been in the previous issues has been completely ruthless and kills people with laser eyeballs and is just a complete bitch. But she's fucking superhuman, and she's acting like she's a savior, like she's a good guy. And I'm like, right? And then we go through this scenario and we find out that we're in compounding realities because of Sarah losing her shit. And again, it's reiterated, we have to go kill her. You have to kill her in order to reestablish normalcy. The entire time. And then at the end, they bring her to the sister. There's Sarah. She's, oh, you're back. We can save the world. So that when the issue ended, I was like, I don't know what to believe. And it's very evident that that's on purpose, right? There are some times when you're reading a book and you get that feeling and it's unintentional to the point where it makes a stinker, right? But that is not the case for this book. It is very obvious that Remender is keeping the reader on their toes, and you are not supposed to know who's a good guy and what's not, what's real, what's not. This character who shows up, who's calling him a heretic and telling him he has to die, we don't know if that's really real. We don't know if those are the actual words coming from that character, or that's the words coming out of that character through that reality. We have no idea. The possibilities are completely endless when it comes to Napalm Lullaby, and that's incredibly smart. It's a smart mechanic by Remender. So again, it's not my pick of the week, but it's really fucking close.
Yeah, I would say the only thing that kept this from, I had like a third of a comic here, like it because it went so quick. I mean, there's 21 pages here, but like it went so incredibly quick that I was just like, wait, what? So I actually read it a second time just to kind of make sure I. But yeah, obviously we're not supposed to know where we're at, right? Like, is the reality that he's, like, is that even real? Or is someone manipulating the reality against him to make him against his sister when he needs
to go kill her? Right.
I am going to go with the fact that I think I don't know which reality is correct. However, I think that whatever reality it is, those two are supposed to be together. That's the real reality. I don't think Sarah's the villain. I think that's a manipulation.
I agree.
That's just my gut feeling.
That's your gut, but then you have to wonder if that's what Remender wants you. Like he's doing that. Like we know that they think we don't know that. Like that kind of bullshit. Like that's that's what it feels like. Because you're just, the fact that you're even having those thoughts when you're reading the book, to me is just masterful. Like you get done reading it and you're reading your other book and you're like, wait, what? Right? And you're in the middle of another book completely. So I don't know. I liked it. Patty says it really well. It doesn't make it a stinker. It makes it a thinker. I think that's great. Yeah, this is the thinker of the week. Like Napalm Lullaby every time.
And this kind of just like completely shifted the book, right? Like before the first 6 issues was pretty linear. We understood what was going on.
Right.
Made sense. In issue 7, we started out and we're like, wait, wwhat's going on? This isn't where we were at. And then like, oh, you were in a fake reality here. Where you're at. And you're like, oh, okay, now that makes sense. All right, we're back on the same path. Let's do it. And then we get to this issue, and you're like, wait, now everything has changed. Like I don't know what to believe out of the first 8 issues. And like that's pretty cool. Like you waited a year to finally tell us, like, oh hey, literally nothing is true and you don't understand it.
Nothing matters and matters at the same time.
Usually like this feels like it would be a pitch within the first 2 issues to get you to read the book. And Remender's like, no, like if you're gonna stick around, cool. If not, but the payoff is gonna be there for the people that stick around.
100%. Yeah, I thought it was great.
It's good.
All right, moving forward, we have Transformers issue number 16 from Daniel Warren Johnson and Jorge Corona. Pre-show notes: Nate was not very impressed.
Stink of the week.
It's his stink of the week. I don't agree, but I understand why it's his stink of the week. And Transformers, I think for Nate has been an up and down experience where there are times when this book you don't have to know anything and you just know the basic concepts of Transformers and you can enjoy it. And then there are books like this where if you're a huge Transformer fan, you're like, oh shit, this is going down. Oh shit, this dynamic is happening. And oh, this is happening. Oh, that's new. And then at the end, you're like, oh, that's okay. Now we're there. But if you're not a Transformer fan, you don't, again, the the biases on this book are pretty heavy. If you don't know who certain characters are, then you don't understand the dynamic of the book, because you have to have a baseline knowledge of who certain characters are. So I completely understand why this is your stink of the week. I get it.
And I say that more because, as a reminder, this is more of a joke than anything. It's not like I think this book is poorly made.
No, the artwork is fucking great.
I mean, to be honest, the writing and the artwork, are the reason why I stay in this book. It's not because I super love the plot. It's just that I think Daniel Warren Johnson is a good writer, and these collection of artists are really good.
They've been really good. So what I liked about it is it showed it showed the Decepticons' base theology, which is that if it's not going their way, there's always chaos and disorder within their ranks. That's highly on display in this book between Starscream and Soundwave. I like even the discord between some of the other Decepticons saying like, fuck this, I'm out, and they're realizing the truth about Soundwave and his cruelty. But at the end of the day, like, they're Decepticons, right? So like, like, they're only out for themselves. So for them to be that brutal amongst themselves shouldn't be any surprise. But to see that, Thunderstruck, I think his name was, or one of the jets, is
one of the names that sounds just exactly like the other.
Well, that's the 80s, bro. That to me was kind of dumb surprising, but at the same time, like, it's the narrative, right? But he feels completely betrayed at the fact that one of his allies was turned into junk. So he's coming to terms with that. I think the biggest thing for me on this book was the pacing. For me was, again, there are times when the pacing in this book are fantastic, and there are other times when the pacing is like, we're going, guys, we're doing a lot of shit, and you better keep up. Yeah. So I get the frustration from some people when that happens, but this whole Optimus Prime glitching out and having these like alternate memories, either because of him consuming one of the characters' human dads, or what, something's up with Optimus. And I think that's probably the biggest thing for me that I got out of the book, that I was like, oh shit, that's awesome. But then like second, just below it, just barely below it, is the Megatron reveal at the end, where he has escaped Cobra-La, he's on Earth, and he's now here to figure out what the fuck's going on with the Decepticons. Yeah. So it's about to get rowdy, right? And the fact that he used Laserbeak from Soundwave's chest as some kind of healing agent / new part of him, I thought was even more metal. So like I think this book is about to ramp up to 11, but I totally understand people's frustrations if you're just not that into Transformers, or the pacing of the book is just amped to 11. I totally get that, but I enjoyed it. I thought I had a good time.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but I did get confused. It is impossible for me to understand who I'm looking at by the way they look. They all look exactly. I just can't tell. Like, there are multiple characters who are blue and red. There are multiple characters who are primarily red and white. I have no idea who I'm looking at until they call them by name.
Yeah, I also like the Cybertron stuff, like them kind of trying to figure out what they're gonna do, and Cliffjumper being like, "Oh, you're just gonna go back to Optimus," and he's like, "Nah, I'm going back for the girl." And I was like, "Okay, here we go." Like, so there's even discourse between the Autobots, right? But there's just a lot going on. Chris coming in says, "I sort of don't know a ton of pre-existing lore, but this wasn't my favorite issue so far. For me, the least favorite issue was the neutral Cybertronian, who's an Autobot, who's like a pacifist. I didn't like that issue, but this issue for me was okay. So I get it. Like, I think there are going to be issues for everybody where it just doesn't hit for them. And I think that's where it's at. Jedi coming in says, "I like Transformers. Lots happening. It can't be worse than New Champions #1, which made me want to rip it up as soon as I finished it." Interesting. I didn't read it yet. I haven't read it yet.
I have a plan to read it, but
yeah,
now I definitely don't.
Also, by the way, John, again, thank you so much for that package that you sent. If you don't know, John sent us a package, a little mystery package, which we opened on New Comic Book Day last week, and damn, it was fucking cool. So, John, thank you again for all them goodies. That was super fun, and we really do appreciate you. That was freaking awesome.
100%.
All right, let's jump over to DC. We got our one DC title. We did not pick up Aquaman this week, and we have Absolute Batman issue number 4. I thought it was a good issue. I think the utilization of a different artist made sense. You know, we're doing a time jump or jumping back in time to understand where this Batman is coming from and his motivations, and just continuation of this Absolute Batman. So that, you know, I'm sure that's you probably share the same sentiment about Absolute Batman. Mm-hmm. This is where I want to go with, you know, the couple minutes that we have on this book. I can totally see Snyder pitching Absolute Batman to the editors, to the board, whatever, whoever's in charge, mm-hmm. right? Saying, here's my pitch for Absolute Batman, and he probably had 6 issues ready to go. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is how we're gonna do the first 6 issues.
Yeah.
And when they got to issue 4, I guarantee you, someone in that room, if not multiple people within that room, were like, why can't this be issue number 1? Like this should be issue number 1. Like, in all honesty, this should be issue number 1.
Nah, I don't agree.
No, I'm not saying I don't agree with it either. What I'm saying is there was somebody in that room who has such a basic peanut knowledge of storytelling that they saw this and read the notes on it and said, this should be issue number 1. Yeah, and if they had done that, this would have totally sunk Absolute Batman. Like, absolutely sunk. And again, I'm talking about a hypothetical. Maybe there wasn't, but I'm just saying, guaranteed there was somebody in that room that when he got to issue 4 and he pitched it, there was someone that said, oh, that's our issue number 1. Mm-hmm. No, don't start over here where we're just thrown into the mix and we don't know what the fuck's going on and we got to figure it all out. No, start here, because, you know, our readers need to have some kind of similarity gateway to this Batman, and it's not enough for him to look like Batman. We need to know, you know, we got to have the origin right off the bat. Now, technically, we kind of did in issue 1, right? But it was sprinkled in between what we were doing, right? Mm-hmm. And we've been slowly fed this story of this Batman's origin. But without a shadow of a doubt, and I kind of wish, I'm sure I'd be getting completely roasted by Blaine over at Comic Club, because he's like they're huge DC guys over there, mm-hmm. and I'm sure he'd be like, nah, fam, like there's no fucking way. But I am just saying, like, I with everything else that's been going on over at DC, I feel like there was at least one person in that room that said, oh, that's our number 1. And then, like, Snyder was like, you don't get it. No, it's not. But that's that. Going back to this issue, I thought it was great. I had a good time with it. I will say I was reluctant at the beginning of it. I was like, oh, this is what we're doing. But man, like, it really got me. Like 2 pages in, I was like, yeah, this is cool. I really like it. I like the idea of Bruce being in the courtroom and having his day in court and saying what he wants to say, or maybe not. I loved the examples. I don't know. I really liked it.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because John's going to go against me here, but my favorite thing by far about this issue was Gabriel Walta. I love Walta's style. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like, man, this is kind of the problem, like, with guest artists, right? Like, sometimes, like, you know, like when we have a guest artist on the book, it's not like DC's going to get the cheapest, right? Like, they're getting people that they worked with, that they know. Yeah. And, you know, Walta has done books with them before, has done a lot of covers for them. And it just feels so much better when you get a fill-in artist, guys, it's just a bang for you. And that's what it was here. So this gets a little extra points for me. But honestly, this was just as close to being my pick of the week as Napalm was. I thought this was a really cool origin. Yeah. I like the idea. I really enjoy this. What's his dad's name? Can't remember.
Nope.
Doesn't matter. I like his dad's, like, this whole, like, back. Wanted to be a doctor, but now I'm a teacher. And it's like, I love a humble, down to earth kind of guy. Mm-hmm. For his dad, I like this change. And yeah, this issue was really cool. There was a lot of really fun.
Yeah, Calvin said a cover a fill-in artist already. Look, we're beating.
Maybe it was intentional. We have no clue. Maybe it was intentional because this is an entire thing. I think it's highly
Yeah.
unlikely, but
I don't know.
whatever. This is the one time I'm not going to complain about a fill-in artist because.
Well, and I also feel like we beat that narrative with like a dead horse, and until we, I'm sorry, I'm talking so far. Until we get an actual artist on the show that can give us an answer of why that happens with somebody that actually works there, then I'm gonna stop talking about it, because like I just don't. We don't know. We don't know if it's because of money. We don't know if because that's just how it's planned, or if it's because we're not trying to make an artist bigger than another, or what it is. But I will say, whenever we do have that conversation, I'm going to say, listen, I want it to stay consistent. And if that means the book gets pushed back a month because you need the time, then I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to wait.
We got a lot of other books to read.
There's so many other books to come out. John, yeah, I didn't enjoy the art change. I know that's the guy who did the art on Phantom Road, but it threw me off a bit, the whole issue. I still enjoyed it, but not as much. Like,
I get that. I
totally get that. Like, for me, like when I initially got the book and I opened it, I was like, oh, so initially I was already in like a negative mindset. But as I read it, I was like, oh, I get it. And it works. And so I got to stop doing that, where I just like flip just to see what's going on before I actually read it.
Yeah. I thought this was a great, like, this issue felt like a good wrap up of like what we're doing, and be like, all right, here's where we're at. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
This is where we're going forward. I liked it.
Right. All right, let's keep moving over to Marvel. I'm not going to talk a lot about this issue. NYX is done. I'm out. Not. And that being said, there were some very impactful things that happened in this book. A lot of identity crisis within the book, and I think that was great. I think that's necessary and fun. But overall, NYX to me is floating so much like X-Force and X-Factor, where I jumped off so quickly, and I tried to give this book, the first arc was fine, but now we're in this okay, let me just give like a very abridged version of what happens in this book. Essentially, Prodigy has set up his own version of mutant school in NY, and so everybody's welcome, and he's kind of pushing still this idea of Krakoa and unification. And Synch shows up, and he's pissed, and he's like, "The dream's dead, bro!" And so they fight first because of that. They literally fight because Synch doesn't believe Prodigy should be doing what he's doing. He's giving up false hope. So they fight. Oh, yay. So they're fighting. Then Miss Marvel is drawn outside when this is happening, and she finds out one of her cousins is like a bad guy or is anti-mutant, and so he's got all this stolen like Oscorp goblin tech, and he's like fighting her. It was very like, huh? Right? And then when she finds out, like, she like subdues him, he's like, why are you doing this? And again, this person doesn't know that it's her.
Yeah.
He's like, I fight for truth, and I fight with my identity on my sleeve, and we don't know who you are. You don't even know who you are, man. And like, she like loses it. She's like, and like runs away. And so she's like dealing with an identity crisis. And is she lying about herself, or is she being true to herself? That's fine. But like, again, to me, NYX doesn't feel like it really fits within what we're trying to achieve in the narrative of X-Men comics. And that seems to be happening more and more now when I'm reading X-Men comics, where the ones that were on the fringe or ones that aren't necessarily deemed necessary are starting to fall off. And NYX has finally happened here. I'm not saying that the conversation that they had in the book wasn't important. I'm sure it was. But for me, like, I am all in on Jed McKay's X-Men, even though I feel like it's kind of faltering and Uncanny. And then Storm and Psylocke. That's where I'm locked in right now when it comes to X books. Exceptional, it's 50-50, but I'm still reading it because I'm giving Kitty Pryde all the time in the world. But NYX, I'm out. Unfortunately, I'm out. I'm taking it off the pool just because it just doesn't feel, even though we have X-mutants who are either trying to live out the old, now old days of Krakoa, or trying to misconstrue that message in for their own reasons and own things. that's the basis of the book, and I'm kind of good. I'm good. And you know, this is the second or third time now that I've dipped out on a Kelly Lansing book, so that might be saying something there too. So
yeah, that was actually one of the main reasons why I never started.
Yeah, I was being optimistic.
You were.
I was being optimistic.
Who could blame
All
me?
right, let's talk about an X book that's really fucking wild, and that's Sentinels issue number 4. I think we said it on New Comic Book Day. This book feels now almost necessary, with all the behind the scenes things that are happening with our villains, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've got these group of humans who are now Sentinels, who have a shit ton of trauma, and it's going awry. We find out how these Sentinels are the way they are. You know, we get that. I don't want to really give anything away, but we find out that these Sentinels are products of this new group utilizing someone else.
Why are you avoiding spoilers here when you've been spoiled?
Okay, fine. So there was I don't know necessarily if it's like deep canon, but there was a boy who essentially bonded with a like Prime 1 Sentinel.
Well, it referenced a like one-off miniseries called Sentinels from 2003, which, by the way, if anyone here has read that or they read this, I want to, because that seems like just the most random thing,
right?
But also like, cool, yeah.
So
cool
the boy bonded with the Sentinel, and then did he ended up getting sick, or did he end up getting like hurt and die?
No, he died, and the Sentinel was like, "I'm doing my Prime Directive, safe,
which is keep him safe." So he like bonded with the child or the kid.
The Sentinel did it.
And so the Sentinel and the kid are the same, or like one and the same. So they're Flesh and Sentinel. Mm-hmm. Who's the guy, the director that's a mutant? That's Trask. So Trask's son, I think it is, basically was pulling flesh off of this kid and creating other human Sentinels. And that's how we got this team. So he's utilizing this kid's flesh to create new Sentinels, and it's not working. Every time, a year in or a couple days in, it starts to fight it off, and they become Sentinels rather than just human, and they become corrupted. And so that's what we're seeing here. And we come to light that story was actually true, that they find the kid in a test tube, and his arm and his leg is missing. You're like, oh shit. Like, so everyone on the Sentinel team is finding this shit out. We've got our main Sentinel being reworked and retooled by this Cassandra, I forget her name, character who is,
I can't remember.
Karina, maybe, I don't remember. She essentially enhances him, and he's now like a really bad Sentinel. So like, there are things going on in this book that I think are going to have ramifications for Uncanny, for X-Men, and anything else down the line dealing with X-Men. Is that a smart play? I don't know. I don't know if that's, it hasn't been evident. Marvel editorial hasn't been going, hey, probably should be reading Sentinels. Like, no one's saying that. And that can either be a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a fun thing. For if you read it, then whenever something does drop that has big ramifications with Sentinels, you're gonna go, oh yeah, that's kind of neat. And maybe, and what I think would be even better, and again, I get it, it's not helpful in the sense of editorial, is not mentioning where that came from. Like, not having that note that says, oh, go read Sentinel issue number 4, like, don't do that. And then for a reader who's read that, they can connect the dot and be like, oh shit, I know something that you don't, and you're not being spoon fed it. I think that would be really cool. Do they do that? Probably not, because that's not how comic books work. So.
I will say that my suspicion that the hidden person in Graymalkin is what was his name? Who was it that I thought it was? That in this issue, Professor X was pretending.
Oh, Onslaught.
Onslaught. Thank you. My thoughts that it was Onslaught are pretty much dead now, because it turns out that was Professor X fucking with her. I thought that was Onslaught getting out of his,
nope,
telepathically getting out of his containment. So now I have no clue.
Who's in X? Well, they kind of say it in Uncanny.
They do not.
Well, they do, but they don't.
They 100% don't. You get zero indication of it.
Okay, well, we'll get there.
Okay.
Sentinel was fine. Sentinel was good. I liked it.
Yep, that was good.
All right, Ultimate Black Panther issue number 12. This is my bitware. Yeah. It was just good. It was so good. It was fun. We got a kind of like look into the future between the fight with Moon Knight and Panther. In the fight, he ends up killing Moon Knight, decapitating him, and then there's this like these ominous figures behind. No, we don't see that. We just see he wakes up from a dream, essentially showing him the future, which is he's gonna kill Moon Knight. He's gonna rip off his head and win over the supporters of Moon Knight. So we run through that whole scenario. We actually go through the fight, and T'Challa is basically saying like, you know, he's telling his group like, stop me. Like if I win, don't let me kill him.
Yeah.
Just stop me. And they're all kind of looking at him like, well, this is the fight to the death. Like that's the whole point of this. And he's like, just don't, like, just stop me. So they fight, and he wins. Like he's winning, and he gets to the point where like he's in his dream, and it's kind of like word for word, this is what it is. And right as he's like about to stop himself, these giant shadow figures show up behind him, and they're like, do it, kill him. And it's kind of like he can't control himself, and he's getting ready to do it. And you're like, okay, so, and there's this whole discussion about vibranium having some other like alien style possession going on here, some other kind of motive behind it. So that's clearly at play here. He's getting ready to kill Moon Knight, and then boom, bang, boom, Sorcerer Supreme, who was in on the cover last issue, even though she didn't show up, shows up, and she's like, you don't want to do that, dog. And that's how the issue ends. It was fun. I am completely in. I am sold on Ultimate Black Panther. I know we're 12 issues in, and I'm finally saying it, but I am. Like, it's just, every Ultimate book has been so much fun, right?
Yeah.
And that being said, we got New Comic Book Day coming up next week. We have a new Ultimate book coming out. And I'm really afraid that there's going to be an Ultimate book that just doesn't hit, because all of them have been good. So like the law of averages say there's going to be one that misses. And I really pray to God it's not the one that's coming out next week, because it looks cool.
Yeah.
But again, we said it about McKay before X-Men came out. It was like, he's been hitting dingers for the past 2 years or 3 years. Like there's going to be a miss. And then lo and behold, X-Men hasn't been as good as we wanted it to be. So, knock on wood, that doesn't happen, because I'm really liking this Ultimate run. I'm loving all the Ultimate books right now.
Yeah.
And so
I don't know, like, I was not going to read it. Like, I'm enjoying Ultimate books. I was not going to, when I first heard about it, I was
next week's.
I don't care. Yeah, Wolverine. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't care. I was like, I don't care. I don't want another Wolverine book. I don't care that it's Ultimate. I don't care it's new. And then I saw it was Chris Condon and Cappuccio. It's like, okay,
God damn it.
yeah. I'm reading it. So we'll see.
Ultimate was fine. That was fine. This is my pick of the week. It was so good. The decapitation of Moon Knight in the dream before you found out it was a dream was a definite oh shit moment. It was like, oh, like that's what we're doing, and this wasn't a red band. Like, goddamn, like that was crazy. Oh, by the way, I read the Daredevil Elektra red band book.
Mm-hmm.
If you're really into demons in hell, go read that book.
Oh, okay.
That shit is crazy. I'm not saying it wasn't up my alley. Like I got done, I was like, all right, I'm not gonna read the rest of that. But not because it wasn't good. It was good. I was just like, fuck, like that is red band. That is a red band comic book. Crazy.
Okay, interesting.
You should check it out. I think you'd like it. I picked up like the cover C, or like where she's just kind of profiled to the side. So
Yeah.
I picked out that one. Anyway, all right, let's move on to our last book. We got the Uncanny X-Men issue number 8 from Simone. Raid on Gilliman or Gilliman or whatever. Number 4. We were not told in most ways of who is Prisoner X or whatever the fuck it's called.
If you want to get into that, tell me where I'm missing it.
So
Indication about
when
who is in there.
when Xavier is fighting the other telepath
Like
who used to be
Philip or something like that.
yeah, who used to be charming, and now he's like a crippled dude and looks old. When they're fighting again, he doesn't say who it is. You're right there, but we're given some clues as to who it is and the mechanics behind it, which is they're just like him and Xavier. So the kid that killed himself touching
RVX.
Rogue, yeah, he's one of the, what did they call it? It starts with an A. And
An
she talks
avian.
avian. So
Okay, I thought you meant it hinted about who it is. We've
no,
never heard of these.
no,
aliens.
we just get a clue to the fact that they're similar in the sense that the boy was an avian, the kid, the
Mr.
guy that he was,
Sturdy.
yeah, he's an avian. Xavier is one, and then whoever's behind it is one as well. It could, I mean, yeah, it's probably not Onslaught, but that was a big clue for me, and or at least it was a big clue in the sense of like, okay, there's some connectivity here, right?
Yeah.
And I liked the callback to what is his name? What was the name of the kid? Harvey
X, yeah.
Harvey X. I still have feelings for that entire scene and just sad about it. And it just proves again that Simone is writing an amazing X book right now. Like, it's just so fucking good. But it didn't, like I told Nate at the pre-show, I thought this book was great. It just didn't end the way I wanted it to, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I don't know how I wanted it to end, but the way it ended just didn't do it for me. And that's not I'm not shitting on this book. I still think this book is amazing. I loved reading this issue. When it was over, I was like, God damn it, I gotta wait another month. I gotta deal with an inauguration of a guy I don't really give a shit about, and then I get to read X-Men again. Like, that sucks. Right? And so I don't know what I was expecting. I guess what I was expecting, like, if I just go basic right? Like, the easiest route is I wanted to know who the X guy was, who the Prisoner X was. And we didn't get that. And it was kind of solicited that we were gonna find out, and we didn't. So maybe that's why I'm frustrated.
I'm frustrated because we were given the hint, the clue, the idea from last issue and again in this issue that the whole reason why they're fighting is because Mr. Scurvy is messing with their emotions. They get fully outside of his influence and they're still fighting. And I'm just like, nah, I don't. The fact that they're fighting is stupid. I don't think it's. I just don't like it. I don't like it. It doesn't make any sense. Like, Rogue is clearly right and Cyclops is clearly wrong, and so like it makes the quarrel between them two seem disingenuous or fake. I guess I should say, to me, it feels that way. And I'm not just because I hate Cyclops, but like I just genuinely don't agree with his team, and so it just feels.
Can I be given an opportunity to change your mind?
You can absolutely be given an opportunity to maybe possibly change my mind.
Okay, so I'm going to use your logic because you kind of said it, which is outside of their sphere of influence, they're still arguing. So what does that say about the argument?
That it's dumb.
It is dumb. And who's realizing that it's dumb? Who's finally realizing that Cyclops' argument is dumb?
Cyclops? I don't know.
Rogue.
Hank? Rogue? I don't know. I didn't get that.
No, well, you kind of said it. Rogue gets out of the sphere of influence, and she's still pissed off, and she's still raging because it's a genuine reason to be upset. And I don't think she's ever come to she's never come to those terms in all of the years of them in existence, or she's just now coming to the realization that, oh shit, Cyclops is a shitty leader, and he's selfish, and his arguments make no sense. Yeah. So I think, or at least for me, I think them being out of the sphere of influence of Scurvy Guy and them still arguing says that at least even within Scott's own team, people are starting to doubt Cyclops. They're like, yo, like, you don't make any sense. Like, obviously your argument was amplified because of Scurvy Guy, but the fact that now you're outside of it and you're still so headstrong to your argument, I think the rest of the X-Men are going, oh, dude, he's a dick. Like he's a douche.
Yeah,
and so I think
Cyclops wants to be the new Professor.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know, like to me that kind of, I guess for me that kind of justifies where we're potentially going with the X-Men, because like we've been told, hey, we are still getting like this X-Men versus X-Men event that's going to be much bigger moving forward. And you had hinted at like it's going to be involving a lot of like all the other X books, which I fucking hate. Hate's a strong word.
Yeah.
I am reluctant. But I guess for me, like even hearing your explanation of it, it just kind of strengthens my idea or my acceptance of it, which is Rogue and her X-Men and some members on Scott's team are realizing that this vacuum of Xavier not being there has just put Scott right in front of it. And he's doing the Scott thing, but times 10, and he doesn't even realize it, which is, I'm right, you're wrong, go fuck yourself. And I find myself, I never thought I'd say this in a million years because I am a Cyclops fan, but I'm actually seeing Nate's argument and I'm like, go Rogue, go. Fucking I'm glad you have Wolverine on your team. I'm glad you have the cooler kids on your team. Cyclops, switch sides, please. Or not Cyclops, Psylocke. Switch sides. So that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah,
I didn't change your mind.
No, not particularly, but it's fine. It's whatever. We'll see. It's not like I'm not gonna read the book or anything.
Yeah, but I get it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if this little tiny mini crossover kind of got me excited a little bit. So I'm hoping we can maintain that excitement because I feel like I've been reading X books before this as a little bit of a chore. So
yeah,
let's keep it.
No,
fast.
I think Simone and McKay both did a really good job of like not really giving away too much, and then suddenly like, oh hey, by the way, we're doing this little mini event between our books, so get excited. And we were genuinely excited, like, and it feels like that there's more to come. And am I glad that we're going to start involving some of the other books? Sure. Am I happy that if I really want to truly 100% understand the entire event, that I got to pick up all the other X books? No. Am I going to? No. I'm not. I'm just not going to. I've been burned too many times. I loved Empire, but I hated the fact that I picked up every Empire book. I loved Heroes Reborn, but I hated the fact that I picked up every Heroes Reborn event.
All right, don't put them in the same category. Empire's much better. Much better.
Listen, I'm just talking about the idea.
Don't make me cry.
It's coming. Watch, like in July, it'll be like Cyclops.
Yeah, because he's gonna get booted from the team.
Well, that would make sense then. Like, if you get booted from the team, okay, cool, you get your own book. Great.
Oh
Have fun.
No, get booted from the team so we don't have to hear from him.
No, I'm just saying in general. Like, if like Magic should get booted from the team so that she can have her own book. Psylocke should get booted from the team. Excuse me. So she can have her own book. I mean, I don't know. It was good. I liked it. I had a lot of fun. Excuse me. Got a little tickle on my throat. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this week's live episode of Two Fat Guys Pulls episode, or issue 1201. I need water. It's right back there, bro. Excuse me. But yeah, I had fun. It was a good week. Looking forward to next week. Oh, God damn it. We got some good ones.
Dying.
I am dying, but really good books next week. Really good books. Like, yeah. It'll be genuinely very hard. I mean, just to list off the writers that are coming up. Moai Ayodele, David Pepos, James Tynion IV, twice. Ram V. No, he's got it. Daniel Warren Johnson. Like, that's the lineup of writers next week, guys.
What's
Jeff Lemire writing?
Minor Arcana. You're not reading it.
Oh, okay. You're not reading it.
You're not reading it.
Anyways, guys, we'll catch you for New Comic Book Day, which is going to drop on Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Then we'll catch you guys live again this Sunday, where we'll talk about all these books and more. And just keep your eye out for a potential live stream of Marvel Rivals. We're
Mhm.
probably going to play a little bit tonight before going to bed, but
Mhm.
once I can kind of figure out where I'm going to stream it, right over there, I can get my camera set up and Streamlabs set up on this PC and all set up so we can make it look nice and good. We'll do a live stream of Marvel Rivals, and maybe we'll even patch in like a mini cam of Nate's gameplay so you can really get an idea of like what we're doing while we play. Very excited for that. If you're not playing, it's going to be great. John comes in, hey Jim, the Phoenix/Wolverine box is open. On the bottom, the card on the figures are all foils. Check it out. It was so John, I wasn't gonna say anything, but I did, and they're fucking awesome. So Nate had to come over to the house earlier this week to pick up a pair of headphones, and he hadn't been in my office in a minute, and he was like, God damn, dude, like I've got my comic, well, I've got my comics all right here, but then I've got all my toys, including the ones that you gave me, John. So I put up the Wolverine and Phoenix. I just had to on the wall, and I put up the Sentinel. But I've rearranged everything and it just looks fucking sick. I've got the Fantastic Four up set up, got my fucking Silver Surfer and Thor and Loki, like in your Moon Knight. That was so badass, John. Again, thank you so much for that.
Very cool.
And then he ended up picking up his books that you sent him, so we got all our cool shit. But yeah, it is I don't know, you can't see it, but I have my Secret Wars figure. They have a whole line of Secret War action figures coming out, and I'm starting it. I've just got Iron Man, and now I'm on the hunt for all the other ones, which I think it's going to be really hard to find, just because they're selling out so quickly. Like I literally had a Wolverine. Like, I'll take you on a tour sometime. I will do a video to the tour once. I got to clean up a little bit. It's a little messy in here. We got like comics everywhere. But the Secret Wars figures, those are going to be hard to find. Like, I just think they're going to be. They're like selling out everywhere. That being said, I just saw that they are reprinting or remaking the Rogue X-Men 97 figure.
Ooh.
And I will be hunting the fuck out of that thing because I never got my hands on it. And if you try to buy it on Third Market, it's $150.
Oh.
I ain't paid $150 for that thing. Excuse me. I need her and Madeline Pryor, and then I have all the X-Men 97 figures. So,
Nice.
Anyway, that I'm jabbing. Let's end the show. We'll catch you guys later this week. As always, comic fam, be kind to one another and read more comics. We'll check you out later. Bye.
Bye.
Outro.
Goodbye.
Bye. 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 Bye.